two, one.
Hello and welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined, as always, by racing broadcaster and journalist Paul Alster and Jack from Quiff, and we're going to be taking a look ahead to the 2026 Cheltenham Festival. It's what the whole season builds towards in terms of national hunt. It's the big show, the one we're all excited for. The weather for the week doesn't look too bad, maybe a little bit of drizzle around in the forecast across Wednesday and Thursday, but other than that, the racecourse have actually been watering. So it does look like they're going to try and maintain that good to soft racing ground. So I don't think we're going to need any particular heavy ground specialists, guys. But before we get into things, are you looking forward to the week?
Absolutely. This is the best week's racing of the year. And a lot of work is going in from pundits like myself and yourself as well, Izzy. Jack, I'm sure, is flat to the boards over at Quiff. And we're just hoping it's going to be a great 4 days with lovely weather, great racing, really good racing ground that they're watering to maintain. And I'm sure there'll be loads of great stories going to come out of it.
And we're obviously going to kick things off with the Tuesday is day one, and we're going to start with none other than the Supreme Novices Hurdle. I think it's the race where probably I would say that this is the hype horse of the festival. A lot of people's bankers of the week, and at the top of the market we do have Old Park Star. We've then got Mighty Park, who has been declared for this. Now there's been a little bit of news around that this week. You've then also got El Kairos in here, who was that unlucky faller, not in his last run, but the run before. You've got Talk the Talk still with an entry here. Obviously, he was the one that got that unlikely victory in heavy ground at the DRF. You've got My Daddy Paddy, Leader Dalier, Sober Glory, King Rasco Grey, Sober, Ballyfad, and bigger the rest really there up to sort of the 50-1 mark. Paul, I'll come to you first for this one. Is it all bets are on with the the favourite in the Supreme with Old Park Star?
No, no, I'm going to be taking him on in that one. He looks a lovely horse. He's done everything right this season. He's won all three starts. Quite what he beat last time in that grade two, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I think he's going to be worth taking on. We don't know how good this Mighty Park is. First of all, we should say, shouldn't we, Izzy, that we're recording this preview on, where are we, Thursday evening. Is it Thursday or is it Friday? I've lost track of the days with
It's
itself.
Friday, but we
It's
still,
Friday. Thank you.
yeah, so still haven't quite got
We
those
haven't got the
nailed down
finals.
declarations, and we're
That's
still
right.
doing a bit of Willie Mullins bingo in places.
Yeah, so there we are. You see, I don't even know what day it is. I've had my head in the form book that long, you see. So Mighty Park could be anything. We don't know, but from a maiden hurdle to a grade one, I mean, only Willie Mullins could do it. I've got to say, I think Talk the Talk is a terrific horse. I'm not sure if he's going to run in here or the other longer race. If he were to run here, then I'd be quite keen on Talk the Talk. And I know Gordon Elliott's got a very high opinion of El Kairos. It might be certainly, if Talk the Talk goes for the other race, for me, a race to just sit back and watch, get an idea of the course of the ground, how the horses are coming home. I don't know whether Jack has an opinion or whether his firm are going to be happy to take on this favourite in the opener.
Yeah, I think you'll see kind of across the board. I think people will be itching to kind of get that in the bag early, especially if the bookmakers can get one of the as Izzy calls it, one of the bankers turned over quite quickly. You'll see most of the favourites kind of laid thereafter. So again, you mentioned there, Paul. Don't know what he beat at Haydock. Don't know what he beat at Cheltenham as well. The form isn't especially strong. I don't know what I mean, he was impressive because he's done it from the front and he's kicked on and made all, but I wouldn't be fancying him anything around 2-1. He's rated 151 on official ratings. The horses in there behind haven't got too much to find. Talk the Talk did it well at Leopardstown. I don't see the Elliott horse reversing the form there. And Mighty Park 3-1. I'd love to see what he's doing on the gallops in Sutton to be that short a price. But if you're backing Mighty Park at 3-1, good luck to you. but I think you'll go skint in the long run. It's lay the favourite. I think My Daddy Paddy could be excused. That race at entry was a bit of a farce last time out. I think they only jumped, what was it, 4 hurdles, and that was over 2 miles on a furlong. He just, I don't want to say Harry Skelton got it wrong, but he was just a little bit overconfident, perhaps. I'll try and be diplomatic in how I'm phrasing it. He was, half that price before the race. He was a beaten favourite, but I thought the winner got a good ride that day. But yeah, we'll probably back a few at bigger prices, but lay the favourite, and lay the favourites all week. Fingers crossed, because hopefully all those bookmakers get a nice bonus at the end of the week.
Well, in terms of the Presbury Cup, I do think that this race is going to be one that goes to the Brits. This is a bit of a boring selection from me because I do fancy Old Park Star. I think, well, obviously we'll get into this in a minute, but I think that Henderson could have the first 2 races on the card. And that's what I'm particularly hoping for. Although I do just want to make a little bit of a mention to a couple. One that you've already mentioned in Arkle. I think he came tanking into that race at the Christmas Festival at Leopardstown before falling. And what I noticed there is that his sort of speed as he sort of come into the home straight really made me take note. And I was really quite taken with him. Obviously, he's won next time out, so there's no concerns there that he's any of the worse for the fall. Perhaps would want the ground to be ever so slightly more of a cut in it, but I think El Kairos has probably got a good chance to upset. And the other one was actually the winner that I had in the last race at Royal Ascot in 2025. And that's Sober still has an entry here for Willie Mullins. And obviously he could have a real kick of speed. He's done absolutely nothing wrong this season. So no, he only won a 3-horse race last time. But it's that kind of whole Poneros thing all over again where not quite unraced over hurdles, but certainly flat horse speed that can kind of come into this. So definitely one I'd be interested in. His price is tumbling because when I first looked at him, he was around 25 to 1. He's now 16. So definitely one for me that I think could have a good each way shout. But as I said, I think Henderson could have the first 2 on the cards. And that does lead us on to the next race, which is the Arkle. This has been sort of booked as a bit of a head-to-head, and when this happens, it's usually a boil over and someone else comes along and wins it. But at the top of the market, we've got Kopek de Boards for Willie Mullins. We've then got Lulamba second in the betting, obviously for Nicky Henderson. You've got Cargizi, who nearly got the better of Romeo Coolio, who's next in the market as well. You've also got Irish Panther, Kappa Pike, Steel Alley, Jacks Jr., 6 Mile Bridge. And I'll say bigger the rest, there's a few others with an entry in there as well. Right, are we team Lulamba or are we team Kopek de Boards or team Boil Over and it's going to be someone else? Jack, I'll come to you for this one.
I mean, my thoughts on backing Eco de Bungle over fences is kind of well renowned at this point. I do like Lulamba. I just can't bring myself to. I'd love Romeo Coolio to win this race. I heard that he might potentially. He's shorter for the 3-mile race. I think he's going to go there. I'd love Romeo Coolio. I think you need to stay 2.5 miles to win an Arkle. I could not back Kopek de Boards. Having ran once of a fences entering an Arkle, it is lunacy how he can be so short. I know he won the Supreme 12 months ago, but gee whiz, you are taking a punt back in a horse that's run once of the fences. And I think he beat nothing that day as well. I did like the form of the Irish Panther form when he's second behind Romeo Coolio. He's rated 152 offences. He won a good novice chase at Naas, and that Romeo Coolio form has worked out well with Cargiz. She might go elsewhere as well. So, if you're looking for something at a price, Irish Panther is around the 14 to 1 mark. But yeah, I think one of the two. I mean, Lulamba would be probably. I think he will go off favourite, especially if the favourite goes on in the first. But these types of prices, not me, and I don't think they're Paul's either.
Well, I mean, I have obviously kind of given my hand away a little bit. I really do think Lulamba, I really feel that Nicky Henderson will get these first 2 races in the bag for the Brits. I do feel your sentiments around Nico de Boinville, but I do feel that Lulamba has just been actually quite special. Like I've been so taken with all of his performances that I just can't be deserting him. I absolutely love Kopek de Boards. Obviously, he got a lot of punters off the board in the Supreme last year, and so exciting. And the owners are really great people. And you've got to feel that he's going to have a chance here. I think probably what's prompted this price move is, I don't know if you've managed to see it. I know, Paul, you mentioned at the top of the show that we've all been busy with our heads in the form books, but I had watched the Willie Mullins YouTube stable tour, and it was on that actually that he said that obviously Kopek de Board hadn't been quite right and he hadn't managed to get another prep run into him, but he had sent him up the gallops, or basically sent him chasing with a couple who are quite highly rated, who Mullins, thinks highly of. And he sort of mentioned how he felt that Kopek de Board blew them apart. And I think that's what's prompted, by the feel of it, this kind of market move for Kopek to be favourite over Lulamba. But yeah, I agree with you. I think I'd have wanted to have seen another run. As much as I do trust Willie Mullins' opinion, I'm sticking with Lulamba. What about you, Paul?
Well, again, it's not a race I'm going to get too heavily involved in. I accept what we both say about the front two. Kopek de Board with his lack of experience, but tremendous potential.
Yeah.
But it's a hard track to go to after one run over fences. Lulamba, more solid, I think. He's a more solid horse. He's also rated £5 higher. So why he isn't favourite, I'm not sure. If I were to have my arm twisted and have a bet, it would probably be each way on Steel Alley for Sam Thomas, who I think is a progressive sort. He's won a couple of Grade Twos this season. He stays further than this as well, and you need to come home powerfully up that hill. And um, I just think he's a horse that is going the right way. He jumps well. He's got a touch of speed and stamina. And if either of the front two or both of them make mistakes, it could be him that picks up the pieces. It has happened in these types of races before. But no, I probably won't be getting too heavily involved. It's a long way these 4 days. So you've got to pace yourself.
Absolutely.
So, as I said, I think that we could have a winner, a British winner, in the first two races on the card. But will there be a British winner in the feature race of the day, which is obviously the Champion Hurdle? What a race this has been already so far this season, with obviously what's happened with Stagino, who was once the kind of market favourite after he'd switched back to hurdling this season after the injury to State Man earlier on. We've then had the whole drama around Constitution Hill, and he's now going to start his flat career. So the race we're left with perhaps isn't the race any of us thought we were going to particularly see. And that does mean that the New Lion, who struggled to get home against Brentford Hope on Cheltenham Trials Day, now tops the market for the Champion Hurdle. And it's not quite what I thought I was ever going to see. But Lossiemouth is currently kind of drifting a little bit in the mares, and she is being backed in for the champion. So will she go to this race? Who knows? You've also got Brighter Days Ahead in here, and you've also got last year's winner, Golden Ace, who is a reasonable price, and everything could absolutely go right again. I mentioned him earlier. You've also got Poneros, last year's Triumph Hurdle winner in this one. You've also got Alexei, who kind of could be anything, and you have got that late entry from Tutti Quanti. I would have thought they would want the heavy ground really for him after that dominant performance at Newbury. And then you've also got Amsterdam and Work Ahead as well. This does feel like a really open race, in my opinion. I know the market is quite heavily in favour for the New Lion. But Paul, are you heavily in favour of the New Lion, or are you looking elsewhere?
No, I'm not with the New Lion. It is a wide open race. And you made the point, he's beaten Nemean Lion last time. I know they went a crawl and it turned into a tactical affair. And he might have beaten Golden Ace the time before in the Fighting Fifth. I'm not convinced about it. And we know how brave he was over 2 miles 5 last season to beat the Yellow Clay. At this trip, I just wouldn't have the New Lion. We don't know where Lossiemouth is actually going to go. Even if she did come here, I'm not convinced she'd win. Brighter Days Ahead. I love this mare, but again, I'm not sure about her. Golden Ace, the luckiest horse in training, but with plenty of talent too. Who knows? The best bet, I think, of the meeting might turn out to be Poneros. This horse won on its debut over hurdles, as you know, and it beat Lulamba in the Triumph Hurdle. And then it proved that no fluke when it was only beaten 4 lengths by Lulamba in the Punchestown 4-year-old champion. Had a little spin at Ascot in the summer for its own. It was a bit of a day out. Not that Tony Bloom needs too many free days. And then after 7 or 8 months off, they run it in the Irish Champion Hurdle on ground it hates, heavy ground. And it really caught my eye as a horse that is going to come on a bundle. It was third to Brighter Days Ahead there. I think that Poniros is has got everything teed up for him here. Uh, uh, Not the race that it might otherwise have been had Constitution Hill or Sugino or State Man running it. Each way, I think he's a cracking bet. I see he's 14 to 1 now in the odd place with one of the firms, but generally a 10 shot. And I've written about it at some length on our website here at the Horse Racing Network. I really have fancied Poneros ever since he ran at Leopardstown. And on this better ground, I am not going to be backing away from him. He's back at the scene of that great win last year, and I think he might do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was seriously impressive, that win at the Triumph, that bunched finish, where you had again that Lulamba and East India Dock was absolutely wild, wasn't it? So, and they're no mugs of horses either. Obviously, they both had good seasons that followed on from that Triumph. So, Jack, are you in agreement? I mean, I've got my notebook out there, to be honest, because this isn't a race I have a really strong fancy, and I'm waiting to see what happens with Lossiemouth. But
I'm kind of waiting to be positive about something, and I feel like I'm being like the absolute, grumpy old money. I can't work. Like the New Lion is rated 100. I cannot remember the last time a favorite for a champion hurdle was rated 159. That tells you it's a poor renewal. Which of the two Irish mares turn up? I presume I could see them going off favourite. I don't think Lossie Master is a 2 mile Grade One horse. I'd be keen to take her on. I would like Brighter Days Ahead if she turned up. I think she beat Lossie Mouth fair and square. But I've gone back and watched the replay, and Paul said I don't want to say Poneros had. I'm trying to look at the diplomatic. Not necessarily the handbrake, but he was given a very tentative ride by young Mr. Mullins. And like I said, his form at the festival 12 months ago, that Lulamba form is pretty solid. I imagine this has been the plan for a while. If you can get a double figure price about Poneros, I think if when Paul also said it could be the bet of the festival, he is prick up and take notes. So I'll follow the great man in and take a bit of the 10 to 1 Poneros, please.
very, very exciting. We've already had the whole bet of the festival and we're only on day one, guys, but we have got day two to take a look at next. So on day two, we kick things off on the Wednesday with the Turners Novices Hurdle. It is quite an exciting race. So we have at the top of this particular market kind of probably the best chance of the week for Paul Nicholls' yard with No Drama this end. You've then got another entry for a horse we mentioned before, Talk the Talk. He's obviously got that double entry at the moment. You've got Skylight Hustle in here, King Rasco Grey, Ballyfad, Active Innocence. I'll sort that. Again, you've got another entry here for Sober and Sortudo and a few others that are 20 to 1 and bigger the rest. I'll let people kind of come in here on their selections. I absolutely love this Nicholls horse and I want him to have a big winner at the festival. He hasn't got the horses he used to have. For me, it's No Drama this end all the way. Really, really been impressed with him. Jack, I'll bring you in. Are you taking on the favourite?
I know for a fleeting moment, I'm being positive, and I really like the horse as well. The fact that Paul Nicholls has not. I think he's learned the hard way the last kind of few years of not talking horses up, because in the aftermath of Corto Star and Big Bucks and Denman and Masterminded, he was talking of the next generation horses being of the same ilk, and they weren't. And this was the first time he was saying that I don't think we have another Denman, but if we were to have another Denman, he'd be this kind of horse. There's a lot of hype before he made his debut of hurdles this year at Cheltenham. Followed that up at Sandown in the Winter Novices Hurdle, and he looked even better when winning the Shallow at Newbury. I think he's versatile on the ground. I think he's got a good pilot on board, and yeah, I think he's not had a win for a few years. I don't think that's nonsense. He had a couple of winners, didn't he? Sir Alex Ferguson had that quick fire hat trick. But a big Group One. This is my flag bearer of a yard, and I think he might have that horse with No Drama this end. I'm in the Izzy Phillips camp.
Right, Paul, are you joining us in the Paul Nicholls bandwagon era, or there are some lovely big prizes in this, so I wouldn't be surprised if you're not.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Oh my God, all
Yeah,
three of us.
we've
What?
got three. It's like one of those fruit machines you used to have when you get,
Three sevens.
3 bars coming up. Um, yeah, I do fancy No Drama this end, and I just hope that Talk the Talk runs in the Supreme.
Mm,
So
Because he's only gone 2 miles so far. I know he stayed on powerfully at the end of 2 miles in heavy ground to win from an unpromising position at Leicester last time out, at Leopardstown last time out. It was a great effort. And I know he's rated ahead of No Drama this end as well. But I just feel that this horse does stay. He does handle, decent ground very nicely. And as you pointed out, both of you, I think Nichols will have him absolutely spot on. He does look to be quite a special horse. And so he'd be the one that I would like to back. Now, if Talk the Talk runs, I'm going to be torn really between the two, which is an awful place to be. But I think if I had to come down on one side, it will be with you two both on No Drama this end.
no
yeah,
pressure.
I'm the same. I would say I agree with your sentiments there, Paul, especially with the way the talk ran on to win that race. It does look like potentially 2 mile going up in trip, kind of that 2 mile 5, 2 mile 4 could be absolutely ideal for him. So
Be
he
with
would
Dave.
be a real danger if he
Yeah.
does go here, that's for sure. But that us all being aligned nicely means that we actually then move on quite swiftly to the next race, which is the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. At the top of the market here, we have a horse that was a little bit disappointing last time out, and that is Final Demand. The horse that beats him is next in the market, and that's Cade Dorothy. You've then got the likes of the Big Westerner, Romeo Coolio with his complimentary entry in every race so far, it feels. You've also got Wendigo in here, who obviously has a big place in my heart. You've got Western Fold, Cocktail Divin, Oscar's brother, Kitzbühel, and then really 20 to 1 and bigger, the remainder. I'm just going to get all the gushing out of the way. I really think that Wendigo can win this, not just because I have a tiny little share, but actually because I think he's a proven stayer and I think that he will really, really enjoy this race. I think he's going up against horses that aren't proven over the trip, and I think that's going to go massively in his favour, that's for sure. Jack, who do you like here?
Loath to agree with you in consecutive races. Is but no, I'm with you. I think you could argue his strongest bit of form was when he was actually beat over fences at Kempton in the I'm gonna call it the Feltham. The Cortostano was the chase. It was a sharp, tight track. It's an easy 3 miles around Kempton when he's a proper out and out stayer. He was still rallying in the closing stages. He's ended up only being beat 3 lengths. I thought he jumped even better at Ayr last time out. He beat the two. I mean, he didn't have much to beat. The 135 rated horse in behind, but it's the manner of his jumping. He kind of did it all in cruise control. And yeah, we had Richard Johnson and Haley Moore out for a preview here last night in Gibraltar. Haley said if it rains, get on Salva, but he really needs the mud. But Richard Johnson was waxing lyrical about Wendigo. He called it one of the bets of the festival. So who am I to disagree with the great man? So yeah, Wendigo for me is I'm following you in as well.
Yay! Paul, what about you?
I can't imagine how excited you must be. It doesn't matter how much of a share you have in any horse. If you're involved, the thrill, as I know myself, is something special. I've never had a runner at Cheltenham, and I wish you all the best. I think you've got a great chance of being in the first three. If I were to say to you now, Izzy, that you could take third, would you take it, or would
Oh,
you
yeah.
be? You
Yeah.
would
I
take
would
third.
just love him to run to his credit. And I
Yes.
think, like I say, it's not just because I have that share. It's not like a mindless following. I really do think he can run a good race here against some horses that have got a lot to prove in terms of their staying power, but also even just their runs last time out, like Final Demand really wasn't impressive. They don't exactly know why. I'm of no illusion that obviously Mullins can get them right for the festival, but I think he's got some of these market leaders beat.
Yeah, I think he must have a great chance because he jumps and he stays and he's got a real touch of
Yeah.
class. I think this is a race that I'll be shocked if Final Demand goes off favourite. I mean, he was awful at Leopardstown. Um, Romeo Coolio is a fascinating option. I think Western Fold is one to have a very, very close look at. And the other one that is, I think, very interesting is Oscar's brother. Connor King, I think, only trains 2 or 3 horses. JP McManus bought this one off them after he won at Punchestown, and then he went and won again at Navan, admittedly against the Wool Park, who's no chaser. He hasn't really taken to chasing. And I just think this is a horse on the up, maybe worth a second glance. And if Kitzbühel takes his chance, he's won a 3 mile grade one already in the Cato Star, and he unseated at Sandown last time. I think it's a wide open race. All I can say is I wish you the best of luck. I hope he comes home safely, and I hope you're there in the first 3, maybe even in the winners' enclosure.
Yeah, I think that would it would be absolutely amazing for everyone and all of the other like 4,000 odd owners that we are. I'm sure there'll be a massive contingent there on the day, and the group chat will be popping off. And absolutely can't wait. But that does mean that after that, though, the next race we're looking at is the championship race of the day at 4 o'clock. It is the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Again, this market has kind of all changed from perhaps where we thought it was going to be at the start of the year, because as I mentioned when we spoke about the champion hurdle, we really thought Sagino was potentially going to be a strong champion chase type. You've then also had kind of the rise and fall of John Bon and will he or won't he. You've had the battle with Ilete Tomp having the fall. You've also had Marine Nationale and the fighting talk from Barry Connell, and obviously now sad to hear that he won't be running in this year's race due to having a sore neck. And then the completely surprising perfect jumping performance last time out by Margeborough that has now put him at the top of the market for JP McManus. I'm not sure I thought that was going to be what happened on my 2026 bingo card. But next in the market, you've got the Skeltons with Loda Sud. You have got Ilete Tomp. You've got Quilixos in here. You have still got an entry for John Bon, but there are strong feelings that he's likely to skip the festival altogether. I have a feeling they're waiting to see what whether Factor File definitely goes in the Ryanair personally. You've also got an entry here for Irish Panther. You've also got Solness, Only by Night, Founder 50, Saint Segal, Captain Guinness, Liberty Hunter, and Brookie bringing up the field. I love Margeborough. He was, Paul, we did our horse to follow last year and I had Margeborough on there, and I absolutely love him. I did desert him though at the DRF because I was terrified of his jumping, and then he suddenly put it all together. I'm going to refer back to that Willie Mullins YouTube video. He said it was because Mark Walsh and the horse have found their rhythm and they now trust each other. If they put it all together like that again at Cheltenham, he could absolutely blow this field apart. Are we with Margeborough in the champion chase though, or are we going elsewhere?
Well, what you say about that performance at the DRF is right. I mean, it was breathtaking. I didn't see it coming. I'm not so sure Marine Nationale was fully on song that day, and the ground wouldn't have been ideal for him. And I was gutted. It's not a word I use very often, but I really wanted him to run because I thought he'd beat Margeborough.
He was my anti-post selection for the race.
Yeah, I really thought, I'm so sorry for them, but I know what it's like with a sore neck, so, I wouldn't fancy going 12 fences and 2 miles as well. So I wouldn't back Margeborough to do the same thing twice. That's the thing. That's what would worry me, really. And Cheltenham's a much tougher track than Leopardstown. I think Ilete Tomp is probably the value to nick the each way at 5-1. Of course, he had that horror fall at Ascot last time out when he was out on his feet, but this better ground is more for him, and very often he's been at his best in the spring as well. So I think that he might well, run down his own stable companion. Lotus Sud is a good horse, but as you say, John Bond's not going to go here surely because he had a hard race last time at Ascot against Pictory. It's not a great race. I'm sorry to say the Champion Chase is not a great race unless we get a kind of a 25-length blitz from Margeborough. It will probably be very quickly forgotten, whatever wins, I think. But I'd be with the other Willie Mullins runner, the Ilete Tomp each way.
What about you, Jack?
I think, but yeah, I agree with that sentiment. When Margeborough's he's rated 174, right? He's the best horse in the field. I just wouldn't be comfortable backing him at his current price. So what? He's 4-6, a little bit of 4-5 in places. given he can throw in like a little bit of a howler. Henry de Bromhead's record in the race is pretty spectacular, given his dare I say volume of runners. Captain Guinness won the race 2 years ago. He was placed 12 months ago. He's 66 to 1, probably a little bit too big. And Quilixios came down at the last when, probably going to be second. I think he's running like his fourth festival. He won the Triumph, didn't he, back in 2021. It would be a fascinating training performance to get him back to the festival, having not been seen since falling in the race 12 months ago. But yeah, I couldn't bring myself to back those at the head of the market. I'd probably end up sticking a bit of. I backed Captain Geddes when he won the race 2 years ago. I'd probably put a little bit on 66s and Quilixios. Yeah, that'd be probably each way play for me at 7-1. But it wouldn't be one, unless we get Marshall winning by half the track, it wouldn't be a stellar renewal for me.
Yeah, I think that it's probably not a huge betting race for me, which is quite unusual for the kind of champion race, because you usually like to have a strong fancy going. But I have really had to go back to the drawing board since it's been announced that Marine Nationale won't run, because he was probably one of my bankers of the festival. But yeah, I probably agree with you both there that I think, if anything, for the race, maybe a really blitzing victory by Margeborough, something like a massive 20 length sort of victory might just about rescue it. But other than that, it doesn't really seem that exciting, that's for sure. But that is all we have time for on day 1 and 2 of our key races. Guys, have you got any other business, any other fancies you did want to mention? Because there's obviously some other races on those days.
Well, I would just
Not
say
really.
that we don't really know what's going to be running in the handicaps, but there's a few horses that are very, very interesting. Wherever Kim Rock runs, I think he'd be one to keep a very close eye on. He's in a number of races, including the Ultima on the opening day, and he's also entered elsewhere in the Novices Handicap Chase on the Thursday. And in the Coral Cup, there's a couple or three that are worth a second glance. Rock Dino, Came From Nowhere, and Bunting. So those
Yeah.
are just three to throw at you there to maybe have a glance at when you're looking through your selections.
Yes, I
One for
have
me.
Bunting on my shortlist.
So one for me in a big price.
Ooh.
Nadarwe, I was all over last year. Finished second in the county behind Cargill, was obviously a good thing. Very interesting little pipe opener. That hasn't been seen for the best part of 3 months. When he was third at Dundalk over a mile last time out, he drifted in the morning from 8-1 to 33s. So clearly, this was. I'm not saying he wasn't. He wasn't prime for the race, should we say? He would carry top weight in the county. He's about a 33 to 1 chance. I think he's entered in the BetMGM, or what's the Coral Cup. He's also entered the county as well. Wherever he goes, if he runs in this, I'll back him. But it's a lot of weight to carry.
Yeah, I would say I don't have a really strong fancy elsewhere. I was really hoping that Jaguar was going to go in the Sun Chariot, but it looks like their preference for him is to go up in Trip, which I'm gutted about. So I'm back to the drawing board all over the show at this point. But thank you so much for joining us till the end of our day 1 and day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival preview. Join us again in our next video, where we'll be taking a look ahead to days 3 and 4.